So the plan is to finish off Shin Yud Gimel and begin Shin Yud Daled with Hashem's help. Chaf Gimel 23. Kaira ben Tikras Abayis Shenishber. We learned this already in the Machaber. Mut l'samcha b'safsel b'aruchas amit Hashem kli. Lo kadesh ta'alash is a boin. Lo kadesh lo toisif l'redis yosef. Yeah, we did the Machaber already. Whatever shenei kli, I'll be shuch on the taltal. Also let's make by tachas hakayra. Ishtem l'boina. Hashem kim b'kli shein dech levat le l'binyan kamosh nezbar l'mayla. I'm just reading the Hebrew first. V'tzorach she'ei kli rofik tzas tachas hakayra. Binyan sheyuchal it l'misham k'sheyirtza. Mahad k'sham b'choyzik. Binyan sheyuchal shulit l'misham. Also in nation mevatel kli me'echanoi. When a beam from the roof of a home is broken, it is permitted to support it with a bench or with a bedpost, since they are Keilim. We may not, however, use the bench or bedpost to raise the beam back to its original position, for this would constitute building.
Haven't we done this already?
We did it in the Machaber, now we're doing it in the Alter Rebbe. It is merely permitted to prevent the beam from descending any further. We may not, however, use an object that is not an implement to support the beam from below, even when that object was prepared to be moved, because doing so resembles building. This is not the case with regard to a keli, for it is not common to leave it as a permanent part of building, as explained above. In addition to the above, the kli must be standing slightly loosely under the beam, in a manner where it can be removed from there whenever one desires. If one attaches the kli firmly, doing so in a manner that would not be able to remove it from its place, placing it there would be forbidden, because one would be nullifying the possibility of using the kli for its inherent purpose, which we said is like stira. It's like destroying. To take a kli and put it in a place where you can't remove it for the rest of Shabbos, that's like destroying the kli. Some actually say that that's like building it. It's like affixing it to that spot. Some say it's seer. In this context, it seems more like seer. Taking a kli and you're putting it into the wall, staying there, you can't move it out. It's like making its use impossible. The laws that apply when one of the legs of a bench become detached are explained in section 308. So for your information, I don't know if we mentioned this last time, I think we did, that if one of the legs of a bench breaks off, you cannot rest it against another bench, for example, and then sit on it on Shabbos, because you may be tempted to put the legs back into place. However, there are a few exceptions that make it okay. One is if you've already used it in that way once before Shabbos, even just once. So you've shown that you don't mind using that way, you don't care to put the legs back in place. And the Taz says two other exceptions. One is if the leg broke instead of came out of its place, if it broke and it left behind a piece, so you can't really put it back in anyway. Or if the leg went missing and you don't have it, you can't fix it either. Those were the exceptions.
To put something else underneath it, let's say a stick of some sort.
Same problem. The point is that if you're using it in a way that is not the normal way, and not a way that you used it in the past before Shabbos, we're concerned that you may try to fix it to make it.
If you lost the leg, so it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, look at that.
Wait, so if the leg come out, but the only way to fix it just to slug it take a Milky Way and put it instead. Because you need the full purpose of Shabbos, especially if it wasn't short. You need the stick.
Can't do it.
Rabbi?
Can't do it. Yes.
I was wondering if, like last week, we talked about, one of the things that was talking about is shvus to shvus. I was wondering what's the difference between a gezerah, the Rabbanan, shvus, and a shvus to shvus. I don't really have a good understanding of that.
A shvus is a gezerah Rabbanan, and a shvus to shvus is a double gezerah Rabbanan. For example, if a goy is told to do gezerah, something that's forbidden by rabbinic law, that's called a shvus to shvus. If a goy is told to do something that's forbidden for a Jew on a Torah level, that's a shvus, that's a regular shvus. If a Jew does something that's forbidden by rabbinic level himself, that's also regular shvus. If a Jew would tell a goy to do something that's forbidden only by rabbinic level, that's a shvus to shvus.
But didn't you say, so wasn't there one which was a Torah level also, you just said? I didn't.
A shvus to shvus is a double rabbinic.
And
Shvus.
so
If
what? So could you like break it down again? Like how is it double rabbinic? I was maybe too. I
Tell
didn't.
it to do something that is only forbidden by rabbinic law. That's a classic example of shvus to shvus.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
If I tell him to do something which is forbidden by rabbinic law, that's a shvus to shvus. But just something by itself which is forbidden by rabbinic law is a shvus.
Correct.
Uh-huh. Okay.
How's that not a gezerah like zera? What's the difference?
What do you mean that there should be no such thing as a shvus to shvus? Is that your question?
Right.
No, it doesn't work that way. Each one is a shvus, and each one stands alone, and therefore, because they're both forbidden, just because you put them together doesn't make it permissible. You understand? The gzeira that we don't make is when they make a specific gzeira to protect a gzeira. This is not that.
All one area.
Exactly. You can't do this.
Oh, I see. So the shvus to shvus in the sense is something is forbidden by rabbinic law to me, but if I ask a goy to do it, then that's the shvus to shvus.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
And there are opinions that the concept of shvus to shvus also applies if a Jew does a double rabbinic act. Meaning, for example, he does a rabbinic violation, kala'achar yad, with the back of his hand, you know what I'm saying? Or any other variation of the above. So that's some people say that also. Sorry?
It's an example of that.
Of what?
Of a Jew doing a double rabbinic.
A simple example would be if he does a rabbinic violation with a shinoi, with an unusual way. That's a simple example. Yeah.
Regarding the bench, or let's say take a table, as long as the leg didn't become detached, if you sort of become very loose, and like you're going to move, it's going to fall. You're allowed to support it.
Yeah.
Wait.
If you're going to move, let's say the leg, if you're going to lift the table, the leg for sure going to fall down. So if you're supporting now and you're putting, let's say, a chair on,
Lo shamati.
But you're building on
and
Shabbos.
as soon as they're going to lift it, the leg will fall, but it's going to be leaning on the
That's
chair.
not like building?
Lo shamati. I didn't hear that it's forbidden.
So you could.
I think
As long as you do this detached completely.
You said that.
I think so. Yeah.
And regarding Gimel, I would say that the ceiling, you can put like something to hold the ceiling.
Yep.
But not too.
Not tight. Yeah.
But if you put it loose, like the ceiling went down a little bit more, now it's become tight.
Right.
So what now?
Sorry. That question was asked last week.
You don't have to take it out until after Shabbos.
Right. That question was asked last week, and it seems like it's allowed to put it in that way. Because otherwise, what are you accomplishing? If it's not going to lean on it, what are you accomplishing? If it's just loose the whole Shabbos, you really didn't do anything. It sounds like you put it in loose, and if it becomes tight later, it's not your direct action. So that would seem to be okay. We're too short of a minyan, and
To remove it, let's say put something and so you're able to use it. You have to remove it, and it becomes tight.
sorry. One more time, sorry.
You're allowed to remove what you put if you need it now.
If it did become tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's no
Yeah.
supporting.
Yeah.
So it's a support.
The reason the Alter Rebbe says that putting it in tight is a problem is not because it's forbidden to remove, but because you will not be able to remove it. Words. He says, that you will not be able to. He's talking about a physical inability. It's going to be too physically tight for you to take out. Not halachically. If it's tight, but you're still able to take it out, Bakasha, go ahead. It's a physical problem. That's what he's saying. If you do it in such a way that it's going to become physically too tight, then it's forbidden. Can you text any call? No, his number? Oh, he's not coming.
What do you mean when it's a submission of a telephone meeting and also Is it like, it's not gonna be like considered as a part of the soft of the bench anymore? It'll become tight.
Not the bench. Talking about taking a bench and putting
Like you
it.
said, don't put it tight, but in the end.
You won't be able to use it.
He's talking about taking the bench and wedging it in under the roof in such a way that it's tight. He's not going to be able to take it out. That's called bittul kli me'echana. Taking a kli, which until now you could use, you could sit on it, and now you're nullifying it. You're sticking it in there, can't come out. So for the rest of Shabbos, it's nullified. That's a issa d'Rabbanan, to be bittul kli me'echana. To take a usable kli and make it impossible to use on Shabbos.
So to destroy it.
Exactly. It's like the strong d'Rabbanan.
You can do that on Shabbos, right?
Like a shah. You can't do it, that's what we're saying.
You know what? Let's say you have a mousse on the table.
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah.
And you move it and you put it now on the chair. So it's about to become a chair. So you might be out of the chair right now?
No, somebody else will cover the table.
No, I think you're right. You cannot create a blossom on Shabbos. If you have a muktzah item
On the table.
on the table,
I need a space.
you can, I need the space. You're talking about a muktzah item that's not really muktzah. The main thing you can move for its space is not really muktzah. You know what I'm saying?
Let's
It's
say you
like
left
a
the
hammer.
computer on the table.
A computer is really muktzah. You can't move it for its space.
So you eat on a Shabbat on the floor, all right?
You can't move anything.
I didn't say you can eat on a table with a computer on it.
I don't have
You
it
just
on
can't
table.
move it. Like
The
I
only
said,
table I got.
like I said, you can eat on a table that has a computer on it. You just can't move the computer.
What if it's a pen? It's not something not
Say
about
your
it.
computer laptop, yeah. You're not allowed to move it, but you're allowed to cause it to move, let's say it's on the table. You're allowed to lift the table, let it slide on a chair or something. I'm just.
Sounds a bit scary.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't let you do that to my computer.
Slide on the bed.
What if it's
What
a
about
pen?
blanket on the floor, like a really,
What if
for
it's
the
a
couch,
pen?
you know,
It's about the term to what's it?
the seat couch, the seat couch.
You're allowed to, yeah, you're allowed.
The seat
You're allowed
couch.
to tip it off.
What about a pen?
A pen does not create a buses because it's not a high level muktzah. Anything that's not a high level muktzah, meaning to say something that's only, it has a forbidden use, but it's not expensive, so you would use it for other things. You can move it for its place, and it does not make the thing that it's on muktzah. So if you're moving it for its space, you could move it to another thing because you're not making that thing. Understand? But a computer, for example, if you want to tip it off, I'm just realizing if you tip it off onto the bed, you're in trouble because you're making the bed muktzah.
Yeah, move with the shinoi.
With the shino, yeah. Kalafa, yeah, you can move.
So,
But you have to put it, I think, onto the ground.
or wherever.
Yeah, you have the couch,
Dresser.
the couch.
A dresser,
Seat,
you mean,
the
which is
couch
muktzah
seat.
anyway. Is that what you mean?
The cushion.
A dresser which is muktzah anyway, is that what you mean?
Blanket in there, and then
Let's say
You can
dresser
drop
with
it.
drawers. A chest, drawers.
If it's not muktzah, what's the heter? I mean, you're making it muktzah right now.
Why are you making the whole thing?
Oh, you mean because there's more expensive things in there than the computer? Is that what you mean?
Right, no, I know that if you have
Maybe that's what
some
you mean,
hint or
yeah.
some issue, then you're allowed to carry it around.
The Isser, the heter has to be more expensive, or at least equal to the Isser. So that's a good
I
example.
also saw that even if it's more important to you right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's discussion. There's discussion about it, but yeah, if you put it on a dresser and the dresser has other important things, and on muktzah, depending on the details of that halacha, without getting into it, it would not be a buses. Yeah, that's correct. So that's.
So if I need socks, if it's my sock drawer.
I'm not going to get into the.
No, I'm saying,
now
on the
later.
laptop?
No, that's not.
So it's not, that would make.
No, I'm not saying it sucks. I'm saying
It's not connected anyway.
whatever other important
They
things.
just rest on it.
Safer. I don't know. Fill in. Something important. Sorry. Oh, actually, tefillin are kind of muktzah. Yeah. Take it back. Safer. They are muktzah. I'll take it back. I'll say
sorry.
Not tefillin. Okay. Now that we've clarified all these questions, we can move on.
We get to spend 3 months of learning what's it.
Yeah, covered. All right, Chav Dalet. Mashve pnei karka bebayis. Oy b'chatzer gonchish piltei oy mile gumo oy gayer is a boina b'chayev. Lefika chatzer shneskalkel megasham mevitelen uzer basha tevenin vat lesham. Neshur l'machal behem oy letit. Ulefika chayim remishum binyan. אבל לא יזו בדבר שבאת לשם נשנר כאילו מסכם להשת תנאי הקרקע, כי אם גד לשם איזה בניין קבוע, ונרמור בחצר נסקלקלה. בשביל מי שכימן שהוא בא לסכן החצר זה נר כאילו מסכם גם כימן להשוויץ פונה. אבל בניין אחר מוטלוס is bought for the דבר שבאת לשם, כיוון שאין מסכם להשוויץ פונה. Now for some English reading. When a person levels the ground surface in a house or in a courtyard, right, they used to obviously have houses that were...
Where are we reading from? I'm sorry. I got out of sync here. Where, what?
The Alter Rebbe.
314?
313, 24.
Right.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thanks.
Putting the link into the chat right now. Okay. So the point is, he levels a mound or fills in a crevice or a cavity, he is considered to be building, and he is liable for the performance of a forbidden labor. Therefore, when a courtyard becomes spoiled by rain, one may bring straw and scatter it there. This is permitted because the straw will not be left there permanently, since it is fit for animal fodder or to mix with mortar. It will ultimately be removed. Therefore, temporarily scattering straw is not considered building. One should not, however, scatter a substance that he will leave there permanently because it appears as if he intends to level the surface of the earth. Since he leaves the material there permanently, his act is equivalent to building a permanent structure. So a very simple example, if you have a courtyard that is muddy and uneven because of rain, you cannot take sand or earth and spread it there because you're planning to basically leave it there forever pretty much. So that looks like you're adding to
But
the
Tevin, we said yes.
Tevin, yes, because eventually it's going to dry and you're going to take it away and feed it to your animals. Why should you leave it there? What's the point?
And you don't forget you don't scare for absorbed water.
What? Tevin can absorb water. There's no isser in that.
What's the point of this? To go have a flat surface?
Yeah, basically to dry up the mud a little bit so you can walk without getting muddy or wet.
So it's a different halacha with the grass to drop a cup of water. And,
grass that's growing, if you put water on it, you're helping it grow. But cut grass, what, just to absorb water? It's nothing.
So if you have one cup, if you don't want the water, you can drop it outside from the window.
On cut grass, cut, not connected. Cut grass. If you have cut grass on the floor.
Yeah, but what if you throw it in the air? It lands where it lands. Isn't that kind of like a stray arrow?
Sounds like a game in camp or something.
Yeah, I'm asking that a legitimate question. Instead of throwing it to the ground, you throw it in the air.
It's different. Air, ground. There's something called gravity. What goes up must come down. So it doesn't really make a difference.
He's in the mood.
It couldn't be like a stray arrow or something.
It
You don't really control where it goes. It goes wherever it goes.
Speaking of a stray arrow, crazy story today. It has nothing to do with what we're learning, but just forget it.
No,
Next.
please.
Sorry.
Isn't that like you separate wheat from the chaff, you throw it up?
Oh, is throwing water up
No, not water.
into the
grass,
wind.
what he said. The wind blows it.
Not a kid.
He was. I don't think that's what he was talking about, but whatever.
Talking about
Is that
water.
what you're talking
Water.
Why not?
If you throw something up that gets spread apart by the wind, that could be zoyr.
Winnowing?
Winnowing. Yeah, it could be winnowing.
No, we
Okay.
have no problem with the tevin. So if you throw on the floor of tevin, it's flying. It's no problem with that. It's the water is the problem.
No, what do you say that? If you throw tevin and the wind separates it, that could be not real zoyr because it's not really accomplishing anything. Normally, the zoyr that they did in the Mishkan, by the wind spreading it, you accomplish something. You separated the good from the bad. Here it's not like that, but the Rabbanon it's still also.
But Rabbi, if you put Tevin on the backyard because it's wet over there, who said it's not flying also some of it?
No, because you're not doing it in the wind. You're just putting it straight on the ground.
And the wind come over and pick it up.
The wind is allowed to do malacha. You can't do malacha.
So what's the difference between throwing the grass in the air?
If it's windy, you cannot throw it up in the air, for sure not.
So the Tevin, if it's windy, we do not allow to do that.
Not in the air, no. You could throw it straight on the ground, but not in the air.
And in the window, you take it out, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, to what does the above apply? To a courtyard that is spoiled. In that instance, since the person is coming to set his courtyard in order, it appears that he also seeks to level its surface. In other instances, by contrast, it is permitted to scatter any steps that one will leave there permanently since it does not intend to level its surface. The simple example of this is if a person, again, back in the olden days, spits on the floor and he wants to take some sand and cover it. Again, earth floor, and you got some phlegm sitting there. It's not so nice. So you want to take some sand, not muktzah sand, because you already have it on the side before Shabbos to use for whatever, and you want to sprinkle it over the spit over the slab, whatever it is, you're allowed. Because that doesn't look like moisef al binyan, since you're not making anything smooth. You're not actually smoothing it. You're covering something with it, but you're not taking an unlevel surface and making it smooth.
You don't afraid that when you spit over there that the grass is going to grow up over there.
This is inside.
No, guys, it's in your house. It's in your house. It's in your house. Although I don't know if phlegm, I don't know if phlegm gives nutrients to grass. I don't know. I don't know if it does. I don't
I
know.
think you have to have a seed inside, don't you, to grow something?
No, grass already has seeds. I mean, this thing's growing there all the time.
You said his seed is going to grow.
And the spit to put the seed.
All right. We continue on. We say.
Isn't it almost like doing kisui hadam like on Yom Tov or something like that if you were to shech the chicken?
Yeah, that's an example. That is an example. Yeah. One second. Kisui hadam, by the way, in Yom Tov is not so simple. You have to have the stuff ready. You can't dig it. It has to already be ready. But yeah, if you're doing kisui hadam in a permissible way on Yom Tov, you are allowed to do that. It's not like you're adding to the courtyard or anything. That's correct.
But here, if you spit on the ground, would you have to have the dirt or sand prepared ahead of time, or you can just kick it over? Huh? Yeah.
Kick it. Yeah, I guess you could kick it because that's not forbidden as muktzah. But I'm saying if you want to use your hands, you can't pick it up unless it's set aside from before. Why not?
Just to make a pile?
Why not?
No, you're saying it's because we did foot, it's not a problem?
As far as muktzah is concerned, it's not a problem. I don't know if you're making a pile. Maybe it's like a. I mean, you can't make a guma. You can't make a guma.
So you made a guma.
Yeah, if you move a little bit of sand over, it's not a guma. Like in the beach, there's no guma. It's just loose sand.
And if you're on the beach on Shabbat, I'm saying you should be. But if you're at the beach on Shabbat, this stuff is muktzah to touch, right? Sand is muktzah.
Sand is muktzah, yeah.
Even if you go there before Shabbos and say, I am just about to this is all my sand to play with on Shabbat. From here until there. Let's say a person takes a vacation home on the beach and want to go play in the sand on Shabbat. Well, it's not really.
It's a good point here. You go to Hawaii. You go to Hawaii, and then you said
If
this.
you go to Hawaii, you live on the beach, man. You're 1 mile from the beach.
I don't know if it works. I don't think it works. No. I think something that is ba'atzem not a kli. Something is ba'atzem not a kli. To turn it into a keli, it has to be a permanent designation. Like a rock, for example. If you want a rock to not be muktzah, you can't just say, I want to use this rock tomorrow. You have to designate it forever. You have to say, this rock, from now on, this is my pet rock. I'm going to feed it. I'm going to
Or whatever.
hug
It's
it,
my doorstop.
door stopper, whatever.
Okay.
But if you just designate it for one Shabbos, I'm pretty sure it doesn't work.
So how does that relate?
So I'm saying sand, you're not designated forever. I mean, unless you would take it, put it in your sandbox. Okay, now that's your sand. That's my sandbox. But just on the beach, you're not designated for your sand forever. It's not. I mean, you're not staying here. You're not. It's not the same sand. I mean, you can't really designate it forever.
Could you take it if it doesn't belong to you? Look on the beach. It's public property.
Well, it's public, but it's also hefker. I mean, if you would take it, nobody would.
So if
Get
you
you in
took a little
trouble.
bit and you put it in the,
Lost.
Although by the hurricane, by the way,
Yeah.
people in Surfside were making sandbags,
yeah,
and then the town stopped them because the town actually pays for that sand.
Really?
The Miami Beach is not naturally. It's not natural sand. They import it. They import it. Yeah, dredge it or whatever. So maybe I don't know. Maybe not.
Just borrowed it.
I don't know.
Really want to keep it in.
Just the sandbar.
Piece of I with the wood itself, the taverns, just to be able to cross the water from the house to the backyard or something like that.
If it's not muktzah, why not? Why not?
And where is the blood coming
Okay.
from? We talked about before.
Kisu Adam. You could do Kisu Adam on your
Where is the blood coming?
from a shechted chaya or oif.
On Shabbat.
On Chag and Chag and Chag.
On Chag.
Ken mutar leshchot b'Chag. Okay.
What about on Shabbos for a sick person? Would you do the same thing?
I don't think you would cover the blood on
You
Shabbos.
don't have to worry.
Even if he's prepared,
Wait till after Shabbos.
what will be the difference?
Because it's muktzah.
Even if it's prepared? What's mixing? Sand or the
Sand is muktzah.
You prepared it. So
You prepared it for what?
for keep it down. Maybe this guy was sick. I'm gonna have to check.
I don't know.
I
I don't
said,
know.
If it's not prepared, you don't have to think about it.
when a moil need to be over the area. If you didn't prepare it before Shabbos, you have to do it after Shabbos.
So,
Right. So if you prepare it before for this sake, you're allowed to use it. The same thing, if you prepare this sand.
I don't know. I don't know.
You can just learn from the concept of the moil.
I don't know. They do it on Shabbos? They do it?
Because we had on Shabbos, even on Yom Tov, when was it? Actually, no, it was Simchat Torah. It was on Friday. If I forgot to prepare the sand before, so you cannot take it on Yom Tov.
Rocks.
So you have to take it and bury it.
Interesting. Interesting. I wonder how it works when they prepare it before. How does it work?
It wasn't Shabbos, it was Yom Tov. It was-
No, but even on Yom Tov, how does it work?
I can
It's not a
ask Rabbi
permanent.
Saif.
It's not a permanent preparation. I don't know. Not sure.
I can ask Rabbi Saif how can this do?
All right. Kishazoyra.
Oh, Howard.
Kishazoyra devin b'chotzer. Shenaskalkala. לא ייסד לבשר לבקובה, אלא בשולי הקופה, שהבחן ויביא התבן על שולה, כדי לשנס בדרך החול, אבל also loses בידה. When one scatters a straw,
You put it in the basket, basically.
upside down basket. Upside down
You
basket.
take it exactly up in the basket.
Upside down. This is the regular way. If you have a basket right side up, you can fill it. You turn it upside down, you can only put a small amount, and that's it. You make extra trips.
So you're allowed to take the tail in your hand, put it on top of the basket, but you're not allowed to take it with your hand and throw
Spread it. Exactly. You have to spread it with a shinoi by using the top of the basket. No. It's animal food. Exactly. When one scatters a straw in a scoria or spoiled, he should not scatter while holding the straw in a basket or a container and keep it with his ordinary practice. Instead, he should turn over the container, carry the straw on its overturned base, and scatter it from there, so that it would deviate from his ordinary practice. It is, however, forbidden to scatter the straw by hand. All right, my friends.
If you can pick it up by hand to put on the upside down basket.
Yeah, it's not muktzah. The issue is the spreading of the straw in a way that flattens the ground is a uvdun d'chayla. It looks like a weekday type of thing. Forbidden, but it's uvdun d'chayla. It looks like it's forbidden. It's more of a non-appropriate activity on Shabbos. So you do with the shinui, and the shinui. This is the shinui he recommends.
It's on the side of it. It's not like on the bottom.
The shalayim is the bottom. Bottom. Yeah. Okay, my friends, we move on to Siman Shin Yudalid. We're going to start with the Mechaber, but I'm going to start with a little introduction. Yosef, if he can join us from Ma'ariv. If Yosef can come, then I'll ask Balchanan to come. Yosef, what's the good word?
Yeah, Stein.
Yosef, what's going on? Are you daydreaming? Hello? Sorry, misspelling there. Hello? All right, hopefully he'll come back to the computer soon. All right, so Shin Yudalid starts off with a Mishnah, Masechta Shabbos, and the way the Mechaber paskins in the understanding of this Mishnah is like the opinion of Tosfos. So I'm going to tell you what the Mishnah says. I'm going to tell you what Tosfos says. But I will also mention the other Rishonim because some of the Achronim do prefer to go like those Rishonim. So the Mishnah and towards the end of Shabbos says, Shoiver Adam Masachavis, Lechel Mimenu Gregris. You're allowed to break open a barrel in order to be able to get to the dried dates that are inside. Dates were drying, now they're done drying, or maybe they dried somewhere else, and just storing them in the barrel, and you want to break open the barrel. I guess this barrel
In the way that
had
it's
no
normally
opening.
broken, or in a different way?
It seems like it was normal to break barrels in those days. I guess they maybe built the barrel around the dates so that there was no actual opening. So you had to break it open to get to the barrel. So to get to the dates, excuse me. That's allowed.
All these barrels was less in the size of the Keilim.
That's a discussion. That's a discussion.
The Alter Rebbe says earthenware barrel.
Okay.
It's
I hear
not
you.
Like smash it.
So the point is that that's what the Mishnah says. And this seems to go in line with another Gemara that says, Ein binyan b'Keilim. There is no binyan by Keilim. Ein stira b'Keilim. There is no destruction by Keilim. That seems to fit in very well with that. The problem is that Tosfos asks, the contradiction based on a different Gemara, and therefore he interprets the Mishnah to be talking about, he doesn't make this up, because the Gemara in Beitza says that according to Rabbi Eliezer, this Mishnah is not talking about a regular barrel, but rather a barrel called mustaki. Now, mustaki is a barrel that was an earthenware barrel, and it was broken and then put together with like tar. I think he translates it as tar. Let me see. Zephyr is tar. Tar, yeah. So it was basically a very weak kind of barrel. Tar is like not a very strong thing. It's like it's going to make a loose kind of connection. So you have basically shards of pottery held together by tar, forming some kind of barrel. And that is what the Mishnah means when it says you're allowed to break a barrel. However, it says Tosfos.
You're allowed to break something that was broke before.
Well, but just because it's not a strong binyan, it's not a strong binyan, it's a weak binyan. However, Tosfos says if it would not have been a broken barrel, whether it's earthenware and it's not held together by tar, but it's just a regular earthenware barrel, or a wooden barrel for that matter, it would be absolutely forbidden to break. Why? Because it's stira. It's destroying a Keilim. Tosfos says that when it says ein binyan b'Keilim and ein stir b'Keilim, there is no building and there is no destroying. That's only if it's a binyan garua. That's only if it's an inferior type of building. But if it's a strong type of building, it's forbidden. It is binyan. And he supports this from a different Gemara that says a person who puts in a sufsa b'kupina damar, basically he puts in the hoe with the handle of the hoe. He just attaches like the metal part with the wooden part, is chayev. Why is he chayev? There's ein binyan b'Keilim. Because it's a strong connection. And if you make a strong kind of keli, then there is binyan. Question?
Now, what if it's strong, like what you said with the base? So
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's intended to be destroyed, but it's strong. Obviously, it has to be super strong to hold stuff like that inside.
That, of course, is a huge topic of discussion because that is something that applies today in many, many containers where you have, cans, which are strong, but people generally don't reuse them, not nowadays. So that's exactly a very, very big discussion that the poskim have over here. Because on the one hand, it's not weak. On the other hand, it's not really intended for prolonged use. So I don't know if we'll get to that today, but we will get to that in Mitzvah.
Let's say open a can. Some people open, they have like this flame is open. So before they're doing it, they make another hole in the bottom. So it's making it worse because now they make it carefully, now they destroy it carefully, or it's better than not to. You know what I mean?
He said to release
I know
the air.
what
So
you mean.
so
No. Not for release there. They do it for halachic reasons. They don't want to create a keli. They want to.
But they're throwing the garbage. It's not killing you.
wait.
That's exactly the point. They want to destroy it, so it shouldn't be a keli.
Well, it's in the garbage.
After you destroy it, it's in the garbage.
So,
No,
so
before
you're
you
saying
stop-
if it's 100%,
Tuna fish, right? You took the tuna fish like this, right? Then that is in the garbage.
That's because you chose to. If you want to keep it,
What are
you
you
could
going
use
to do
it
with
for
that?
100 years if you want.
What are you going to do with that?
You could keep pennies in it.
Penny in it.
Yeah.
Penny in
You
there.
could even fry an egg in it.
You don't
Put a little egg on the
you don't
fire.
reuse
Well,
your
you
jars, your stuff. You don't reuse.
Use it
I was talking about a can of tuna. You're talking about something.
You put it in a safe deposit for forever. You keep it for
You never had a fancy jar.
museum.
I was
You know?
listening to NPR a while back,
And
and this guy was talking about some travel he was doing, like in some third world country, and he was talking about he just finished like a bottle of something, whiskey or something,
A lot of people say this.
and he was about to throw it out, and the guide who he was with said, "Don't throw it out. Give it to that woman over there, and see her reaction." And he gave it to her, and her eyes lit up like, "Wow, a bottle!
she
She
thought
could
it's
use
full,
this
Rabbi,
for 10 years. She could use it." Anyway,
because she thought you give her a full bottle.
no,
And she will get home and says, "Oh my goodness, you gave me
nothing to do, and we don't appreciate what a bottle can be. You know what I mean? It's all throwaway to us. Just a regular glass bottle, which you would put in the recycling without thinking about twice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, it's not account for you, what you going to do with that.
that's
If you keep
Something
it,
to think
then
about.
you do use the keli.
something to think about. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's better to not to do it, it's better to do it. If the one is the way use, I don't know why it doesn't use to open, but in general.
So here's the question. This is a chiddush of the Chazon Ish, which Shlomo Zalman disagreed with. The Chazon Ish held that if you have a can that is sealed, like all the cans you buy, he held that that can is not a keli. Because once it's sealed, you can't get in. You can't take what's inside out. It's like a stone. When you open it, you create a keli. You create a keli. So based on the Chazon Ish is where the idea comes to open both sides. And that way, it's not a keli. But just for your information, even though some people do that, the Chazon Ish himself didn't hold of it. Because he held that as soon as you open one, it becomes a keli. What does it help? Put another one. So you'll say, we'll open it both at the same time. Like that. No. For sure, one of them open first. It's impossible. Why not? You can take what's in out. Whatever's out, whatever's in, you can take out. Why not?
But you can't add to it.
Why not? One hole. A liquid,
You
yeah,
can't
a
add to
liquid.
it.
Why not?
But you can't add to it.
Yeah, maybe you can. Why not? Liquid. Anyway, the Chazon Ish, according to the Chazon Ish, the right way to do it would be if you open in a way that you cannot use it.
Like cut it in the middle.
For example, cut it and leave it with a jagged edge. You know, like a tuna fish jar. Don't do the whole thing around. Cut it half and bend it up so it's jagged, so it's dangerous to use. Oh, that's it.
Really?
Yeah. According to the Chazon Ish. All according to the Chazon Ish.
But before
One second. But I just want to say Shlomo Zalman disagrees with this. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach held that a sealed can is still a keli. It's a closed keli, but it's still a keli. You understand? So according to him, when if you were open it, even both sides, or even in such a way that you're making it impossible to use, you're destroying a keli. Now, there's another idea which says that any keli that you use and throw out is not a real keli. That's a whole other idea. But I'm saying besides that point, the very idea that when something is sealed, it's not a keli, he disagrees with that. Because he says it is a keli that's sealed. It's a sealed keli. It's not a stone.
you have to use all the contents of the can or jar or whatever it is right at that moment so that you couldn't use it later on as?
According to Chazon Ish, is that your question?
Like if I open up a can of tomato sauce, I'm not going to use the whole can of tomato sauce. So it's technically then.
So you're using kli. So you're using the kli.
Right. Well, according to Chazon Ish, that's a problem. You're creating a keli. So what you have to do is you have to make it, you have to bend it back.
Even if I do that, I didn't use all the contents.
I understand, but you didn't create a usable keli. What you have now is an unusable keli. You're not emptying it right away, but you're going to have to do it quickly because it's a dangerous thing to keep around.
Now, if I were to do that, what happens to the contents of my food? It's going to spoil that I didn't use. Is it just that's
You could spill it out. What's the problem?
That's what happens.
You could spill it out. What's the problem? Spill it out.
If you leave open containers, it's going to dry out.
So don't. So spill it out. What's the problem? Transfer it. I don't understand your question.
So you would have to transfer.
Yeah, plastic.
You don't have to. You're asking me. It should spoil. Don't make it spoil.
No, but if I
I don't
bend the
understand your
can
question.
and then I close it by bending it back, then
You don't have to close bending it back. You can empty it into something else. I don't understand. You want to empty it? Go ahead.
I don't want to be it.
You don't want it done.
So don't open on Shabbat. And don't
Not using, emptying it or not emptying it is not going to make it into a cake. Opening it in a way that makes it impossible to use long term, that's what dictates whether it's a kli or not. Whether you or not, you empty it right away, he held it was a kli.
Yeah.
If you would do it, let's talk about this. If you would open it all the way around in such a way that it's not dangerous to use, he would say you can't do it even if you empty it immediately and throw it out.
Hello.
Because the fact is it's a keli, you're choosing not to use it, that's your choice. So, but if you open it in a way that's not good to use, with a jagged edge, then even if you leave it in, it's still not a keli. So he held that there's no, emptying it out right away doesn't help according to him. There are other opinions. Other opinions say it depends.
So his way makes no sense to put a hole on on one of the sides.
Still,
No.
So that you can recover it.
still make
Why does that help?
Because if I took this can and I opened it and I put a hole here on the side,
So,
Then you make the clip from here.
even though I have the space on the top, if I fill it up, the liquid's gonna come right back out.
so therefore what?
I just made it high enough so that I can keep stuff inside.
So what? Well, what do you accomplish?
It's not the.
Okay,
About wine bottle, we have no issue with that, right? We have no issue.
Joseph is not responding.
Wine for the kiddush, Rabbi, the bottle.
Yain likiddush l'havdalah. Go ahead.
That's so interesting.
It's to open it, it's the issue, or to make it clear on the bottle, or this is something different.
That is interesting.
עוד פעם, מה השאלה?
You open a wine bottle on Shabbos.
Wine bottle, yeah. What's the issue?
No.
Is the bottle, is it clear, or
Is it
you?
clear or not
or it's
clear?
different?
How's that work?
I lost all my contacts. I don't know who's who now. Oh, Gold Glance. There he
That's a
is.
good question.
Sorry, what did you say?
Is a wine bottle a kli if you open it on Shabbos?
Wine bottle? What, the cork?
Well, it's a closed bottle. What do you open it?
Maybe I'm coming.
You're coming? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm coming. Sorry, I had to take the call.
Okay, no problem. I'm just going to text Hanan.
What is it?
So come around because I'm not staying long. My knee is killing me. Please. Okay.
Say hello, Marta.
They're going to come because I'm really exhausted.
Okay, I'll tell him to
I
come
woke
10
up
to.
at 7 o'clock, and that's why I'm late.
10 to? 10 to is okay?
No, 20. 20. I better 9:30 to leave, but
Yeah, I'm coming now.
Now? Anyway.
So when you get through
okay, come now. Thank you.
9:30. I'm going to tell Hanan 9:30.
There's 6 at the dinner.
we still short one.
Oh, I don't know. Did you daven, Yosef?
I did not know it.
I didn't daven. You?
No, I didn't have.
No
At
diving.
4?
No diving.
You didn't daven? At 5? You did? Shmuel, have you davened? Rabbeinu Shmuel. You daven yet? You daven already?
Only him. Shaskin.
David Leib.
He's in the bathroom. I want to ask him.
When he comes, I'll ask him.
So if you open a bottle of wine on Shabbos, that's a closed vessel. Isn't it technically we can use it now on Shabbos? What's the difference?
Sorry?
A wine bottle, what he was asking. If you open that,
There's no issue with opening a wine bottle if it has a cork. What's the issue? It's a bottle. It was a bottle before. It's a bottle afterwards. The cork was just closing it up. It's like opening the door
so
to
what's
a
the
room.
difference between a can? The can was a can and it closed up on top.
No. The can had no opening at all until you opened it. Understand? The bottle had a bottle. The bottle was a bottle with a cork closing the opening. That's like a door that's closing the
So
wall.
then jars are permissible to open on Shabbos.
Jars are for sure permissible to open. Cans are the issue. Okay. Let us continue. We are going to be learning oh yeah, I forgot to say. All of this is the way Tosfos understands the Gemara, which is also that the barrel that we're talking about is an inferior barrel made of earthenware and tar. But a real, regular barrel you cannot break. David Leib, you davened yet? You davened already? Oh, you're the man. Okay, so this is all what Taisus says, and the Rosh agrees. However, there are Rishonim who say, no. Ein binyan, the stira b'kelim means there is no binyan and stira by kelim whatsoever. It doesn't exist. There's no binyan with stira b'kelim. And the Mishnah that says you can break a chavas means you can break a chavas. You can break a regular barrel. You can break it. It's no problem. The only reason you cannot put a hoe into the handle is not because of binyan. It's because of makah b'pantish. Makah b'pantish applies to kelim, just like it applies to the actual makah b'pantish when they did it in the Mishkan. It was completing a keli. So the same thing. Makah b'pantish applies to kelim, but not binyan at all. The whole thing about mustaki, they say, is only one opinion in the Gemara and Beitz, in the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, like I mentioned before. The Chachamim disagree, and that's the halacha.
The mustaki is the bell that was
Broken apart and held together with zephas, correct. Now,
any discussion about the size of it?
yeah, there's a discussion about size. The Ran says that if it's 40 saw, which is 1 by 1 by 3 amas, then it's considered like the ground. So it's considered like chubel karka. So you cannot, correct. Even if it's a mustaki, by the way. Because once it's something connected to the ground, even a small binyan is considered binyan. I don't mean small, I mean inferior. Even an inferior binyan is considered binyan. So the bottom line is, my friends, the Machaber, interestingly enough, Paskins like Tosfos and the Rosh, when many other Rishonim disagree. But it's all based on his understanding that the Rambam goes like Tosfos. Because remember, the Machaber always likes 2 out of the 3. His pillars are the Rif, Rambam, and the Rosh. Those are his pillars. 2 out of the 3, that's it. He takes those 2. So the Rosh goes like Tosfos. The Rif does not. The Rif says, Ein binyan v'kelim, period. The Rambam is a little bit unclear. He could be interpreted one way or the other. The Machaber interprets him like Tosfos and the Rosh, and therefore he passes that way. Others understand him to go like the Rif, and one second, and therefore they say Ein binyan v'kelim. And Lamaisa, I mean, the Machaber is strict, but many Achronim say not so simple. The Vilna Gaon, for example, Paskins Ein binyan v'kelim at all, and Rabbi Vadia says that maybe they say he didn't see all the Rishonim, he didn't have all the Rishonim. If you would have seen them, maybe you'd have realized that a majority of them hold Ein binyan v'kelim. So it's not so clear. They go together. They go together.
The one that holding is that this the bell of the mustaki.
Yeah. Which is the Shulchan. Oh, yeah, that's the Shulchan Aruch.
The question is, like, the final is you have taught Keilim, regardless of how it's built.
Yeah, but something that's not a strong keli is Ein binyan. Okay. Strong enough to hold it, but it doesn't have the din of binyan. When it comes to karka, anything.
Is it going to pick it up? Is going to fall apart?
No, it's not going to fall apart. But the din of binyan does not apply to that.
Well, because it will be easy to break.
It's easy to break, and it's easy to put back together also. You break it.
On Shabbos.
No, in general, not on Shabbos. In general, it's easy to break. It's easy to put back together. Binyan b'kelim, and stira b'kelim. I mean, to put it back together is just zefes. It's like smearing. I don't know. But that kind of binyan wouldn't be a binyan. Understand? Unless it's makah b'pantish. Makah b'pantish does apply even to weak kelim. When you complete something, when you finish it. So that's a separate issue. Okay, my friends. Here we go in the Machaber.
Piece of interpretation in terms of it completes the keli, or if it was already complete, and this makes it inferior.
Even if it's complete, it can become more complete.
also can become inferior.
I'm saying even an inferior keli, if it becomes more complete, that's makav patash. I'll give you an example. It says a person who is surah bekeli. You have a cup. It's a nice enough cup, no? If you take a paintbrush and you make a design in the keli, that's makav patash. You're completing the keli. That doesn't mean it was incomplete before, but now it's more complete. It's nicer. Besides the writing issue or whatever, besides all of that, just the fact that you made it nicer. So a person could do makav patash multiple times. Now, if he does makav patash in terms of hammering, it's just the final hammer blow. But if it's hammering, and then it's designing, and then maybe it's making another opening on the side. So in terms of that particular function, he's completing that function. He could do makav patash multiple times.
The barrel usually is a seal, right? How does it call it seal? Not so always easy to open.
I guess.
What seal?
They're allowed
The barrel.
to take the liquid out.
Yeah, I mean, here it's not liquid, but whatever it is, yeah.
Whatever you want inside.
Yeah.
And you can be allowed to make, let's say it's wine, you're allowed to make a whole bit of wine out, or you're allowed to bake the whole top to be able to.
We're going to discuss. We are going to see, my friends.
This type of barrel, how much of it, another one?
We're going to see. By wine, they didn't use this type of barrel. They used a wooden barrel with a magufa. There was something called a magufa, where they would attach a separate piece to the top of the barrel.
Yeah, that's what we do today.
How's that?
Top of the barrel.
Comes off. So that's what they had. So we're going to see about that. Okay, ein binyan v'stir bekeilim, my friends. V'ani mili, I'm reading the Mechaber. V'ani mili sheni binyan mamish. K'goyin chovis she'ina machsekas arboim so. She'nishbura v'dibik shvura b'zefes. Yochel l'shoiver likach masha b'soicha. U'bavad shele yichav l'noik v'nekev yafashin l'vesach. Im kein havel l'besak and mon. Avalam hi shleima also l'shoiver l'binyan she'noise keli. Afilu nekev ba'alma. Also לרכבי מחדש, אפילו יש בי נקב חדש, אם להרחיבוי, אסור, הגה, ובלבד שיסכוון לכך. מה יסכן תקום יב שבס בחובס מות לא יציע להכניסה, שאינו מסכוון להויסף. דווקא שיציע גם כן פעם אחת בן יום, אבל לא יציע בן יום, עשו דווקא פסיק רישה, לא יציע נקב בפסח לחובס, Okay, a lot to learn in this first sif of the Mechaber. First of all, he says, Ein binyan v'stir b'kelim. General thing, there is no law of building or destroying when it comes to kelim. However, he qualifies that immediately. This is only if it's not a binyan mamish, meaning to say a significant building. For example, a barrel, the Rama adds that does not hold 40 saw, meaning to say if it holds 40 saw, if it's the dimensions of 1 by 1 by 3, so it's considered connected to the ground, and it is going to be binyan v'stira anyway, even if it's not a strong binyan. But if it's not that size, that broke, and he connected the pieces with zephyrs, with tar, then you're allowed to break it to get to what's inside. Now, even though you're allowed to break it, notice the Mishnah, which is the source of this whole thing, says shoiver adon masachamas. A person is allowed to break a barrel. What's the deek of break? You cannot make a nice opening. Why not? Because if you try to make a nice opening, that is tikkun kli. That is makav patash. Even a keli that is not a strong keli, if you make a nice opening, that is tikkun kli. That is fixing it. All right?
So basically, is there any materials that metal you're allowed to avoid it?
What?
Any Keilim, not only a barrel that's made from wood. It can be tijeras.
The only thing you're allowed to break, according to the Mechaber, is a barrel that was already broken, only hold together with tar, So it's not a strong keli. That's a barrel you could break. If it's a strong barrel, because it was never broken, whether it's metal or cheres or wood, you can't break it at all.
Sochit also?
Also not.
And if it was a cheres, it was also put together with tar.
Then you can break it.
Why did they put it
That's
back
what the Chaver says.
the tar? Was that their intention for it not to be a strong vessel again?
No, I think it was just that they believed in recycling. Why should they waste it?
Well, why not put it back together stronger?
I mean, you can't really put
Right, we can.
earthenware. What do you put earthenware together with?
People break their mugs, the handles come off, put it back together.
With super glue.
Yeah.
Well, that was the best super glue they had. It wasn't very super, but that was their glue. So the point is that Al-Khan's not answering the text, but that's besides the point. The point is that you cannot make a Pesach, you can't make an opening because it might, that could be considered Makav Patish. However, the Machaber says if it's complete, you can't break it at all.
But you have already one Petach, you want to make another Petach?
You're looking for it.
You have one hole. We'll have to make another one. Not exactly next to it, but
No. Even if it has a hole, even if it has a hole, even if it has a hole, it has an opening. You want to make a separate opening is no good. You can only break it. There's no way out except for breaking. Whenever you try to make an opening, it's going to be a problem. Even if you don't try to make a nice opening, but if you make an opening, you might forget and try to make it nice. And then it's going to be Makav Patish. The only thing you can do is break. Now, what's the difference breaking and opening?
So you
Breaking means you don't. No, it's dried figs. Dried figs. That's why it talks about this by figs and not wine. Wine, if you break open the barrel, you're going to ruin the wine. That's not an option. So he talks about this for figs.
When they say to break, it means that you're going to remove from the Torah Keilim. After you break it, you will not consider it Keilim anymore. So sometimes you can break it, but still you can have Torah Keilim.
Of course it's going to have Torah Keilim. Why not?
There's no problem.
No problem. You don't have to demolish it. You don't have to break it down to the ground. You're breaking it open. The top will be open and the bottom will still hold it. Okay. Okay.
Is anybody allowed to break something that wasn't broken before?
Yeah. The Rif and Rashi and the Vilna Gaon and the Rashba. There's a Ruah.
What is their example?
I'm saying in the Yalkut Yosef, it brings a bunch of Rishonim. A lot of Rishonim will agree with that. I'm sorry?
What is the example of something that could be broken?
La'achronim Vilna Gaon. I'm sorry?
What is an example that they give of something that can be broken that wasn't put back together?
According to them, the laws of breaking and building do not apply to Keilim at all. Whether it's strong or it's not strong. There is no rule of
If it
building.
meets the 1x1x3.
Oh, yeah, 1x1x3 is still a problem. If it's that size, then it's a problem, even according to them, yeah. They don't disagree with that.
And I'm going to go to them, no?
No, the Alter Rebbe goes like the Mechaber. But it has to be a broken Keli. So a complete Keli is not allowed. Okay, now he says, not only can you not make an opening, even in a mustaki, you can even not add to an opening. The only exception, he says, is let's say you had a knife that was stuck into the barrel from before Shabbos. Why do they used to stick knives in barrels? I don't know, but apparently that was not uncommon. Place to keep your knife, to store your knife. So On Shabbos, you want to take out that knife.
You make a hole.
If your intention is to widen the hole, there's already a hole there because you stuck the knife in. But if your intention is to make the hole wider, that's a problem. That's what the Mechaber says, which is mashma, by the way, that if it's not your intention, it's okay. Even if it will get wider, well, it's not your intention, so it's okay. However, the Rama says no. It's only allowed if before Shabbos you stuck it in and took it out at least once. You remember from last time. If you stuck it in and took it out at least once, because if you didn't do that, the first time you pull it out, you're definitely going to widen it. That's called a psik reisha, a definite unintended circumstance.
And this regardless of what point is it? Or are we still talking about the one that broken off, the one not?
Even if it's a mustaki. Of course, if it's a regular barrel, even if it's a mustaki where it's not a strong barrel, but the fact is that making a hole is making an opening. You can't do that because it's like tikkun kli, and even adding to it is a problem, even if you don't intend to add. But you're for sure adding, Rama says it's no good. It has to be that it was already taken in and out once before Shabbos. It's a big chiddush, and a lot of the Achronim disagree with it, but that is the Rama's opinion.
So if you're taking out the knife and you have no intention for it to be
You just do it off there. That's it.
Widened.
wetted, so that's what the Rama says you should be strict? Or even
The Rama says to be strict. You have to have at least taken it out once before Shabbos.
so
Rama, the Mechaber himself doesn't seem to hold that. Because the Mechaber says, Mutter, v'mhaya sakin takum ev Shabbos b'chavos, mutter letzin lachnei shaharei eina miskaven lahoisiv. He doesn't say that you have to have had taken it already out once before.
then the Rama's case is not going to get bigger? Or
The Rama adds, he says, only if you took it out once before, so it's not for sure going to get bigger.
Rabbi,
But if you never did, then it's a problem because it's for sure going to get bigger. It seems like the Mechaber is not concerned with that. So the Achronim discuss it. I'll get to it soon.
so I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
So if he stick on the tuna fish, the knife before Shabbat, so he want to take only the knife on Shabbat, and then his wife, after a couple hours, she want to make a tuna fish, open it. She can open it because it's already open with a knife.
Somebody
Knife? You're not getting any tuna out with a knife. In the can opener. A knife. What's a knife going to do?
Why they put a knife on a bottle?
On a barrel?
Well, where they put the stick in the?
They used to keep knives in barrels because
Okay, so here they stick in the knife in the tuna fish. I don't know why.
it's not going to help you. It's not going to help you.
If it's meaning if you take the knife.
If you are trying to open it more,
No, I'm not trying. I just take the knife.
okay.
But it's already all over there in the tuna fish.
So what's your question?
If you can open the tuna fish and add the tuna fish from the can.
If you hold it, you can open cans. The answer is yes. If you hold it, you can't open cans. The answer is no.
Okay, but if you take the knife and then you don't think about that after 1 hour, if your wife is going to use that, it's okay.
How are you going to get it out? The knife makes a hole like this big. How are you going to get
you
it
cannot
tuna
open
fish?
it.
It's a machlokes. If you hold it, you can, then you can. If you hold it, you can't, you can't.
But it's already. We said
The
if you
fact
make
that it's already
small
a
hole,
little-
it's
no.
already concerned to make it clean.
Yeah, but you can't make it. You can't add just because it's a kli. You can't add an opening to a kli. You can add an opening to a kli,
Okay, this.
even if it's a kli. You're right. Chazon
Now,
Ish
if I do the
says.
other side, then it's not clean anymore.
So you're destroying. You can't destroy.
Can I destroy it?
Can't destroy a kli.
We said we can destroy it, no?
No. Destroy. Not a binyan gamor, not a kli. A strong keli you can.
Those fit together with our.
Again, not everybody agrees with that. Some say that any throwaway keli is not considered a binyan gamor. But I'm saying the Chazon Ish would say it's a problem.
Okay.
What problem? What did you say?
This could just open it for Shabbos. You don't have all these problems.
Yeah.
That's true, but then we don't have what to give a class about.
All this question is Baruch Hashem.
Yes.
When we're learning, do we assume that everyone is non-biased, or do we assume that there's a personal agenda in the way that they hustle?
Like what? Like Chaznish didn't want you to eat tuna fish? Well, what do you mean?
No, like we were saying, how some things are more important than others. The different process.
Like what?
Like with the knife, the Ramah is more machmir about it, and it makes sense. Like to me, it makes total sense.
Yeah, but what's his bias?
Well,
He
bias
holds
is
to be
that
machmir. What's his
It's
bias?
not important to him. So to take it out of Shabbos and the hole gets bigger is not as important as the hole getting bigger. See,
When you say bias, you make it sound like they have an agenda.
but that's what I'm saying.
What's their agenda? I don't hear an
No,
agenda.
no.
No. Presumably, the poskim did not have an agenda, other than to preserve the sanctity of the Shabbos and make sure we observe it, but no personal agenda. What else can I say? I don't know what you mean.
Maybe not personal agenda, just agenda of their time, or agenda of where they lived, or
Well, that could be. If they felt that a certain thing would detract from the spirit of Shabbos, they may have tended towards strictness about it because of that situation. I mean, I don't know. Okay, my friends, it's time to learn the Alter Rebbe. A lot of information here in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. So, starting 3:14. Kvar nisbar she'ein binyan astir b'Keilim. She'ein machzikin arboim so k'she'ein binyan gomer. It has already been explained that the forbidden labors of building and demolishing do not apply to Keilim that contain less than 40 saw in volume, when the Kli is not a structure in a full sense. The fikal chavish al cheresh she'ein machzekes arboim so she'nishba v'divik shvera b'zefes mutter l'shoiver b'Shabbos bein b'yad bein b'Keilim. K'dei likach masha b'soicha vein b'mishum stir b'bnei she'ein binyan gomer. Therefore, when an earthenware barrel containing less than 40 saw was broken, and its broken pieces were reattached with tar, one is permitted to break it open on Shabbos, whether by hand or with a keli, in order to obtain its contents. The forbidden labor of demolishing is not involved because the barrel is not a structure in a complete sense. Like goes to Shem Iskavan Lakach B'nei Shechavis Hashur Druku V'Zefes Igur Beina V'Nechosh Shalom Kishchoizu V'Shev L'Sakan L'Pesach Noah. Welcome. I know we said you should come right away, but I texted number 10. He hasn't responded yet. Let me try him one more time.
when you said that it contains 40, does that mean that the volume on the inside is 40, or that the actual
Actual keli, including the thickness of the wall, is the amount, the size that could contain 40.
So
The thickness of the wall counts towards that.
Okay.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be 1 by 1 by 3. It just has to. That's just an example. But
Exactly. It doesn't have to be exactly that. It could be different.
No,
That volume. Oh, see, now you know where you have to come.
It's like that.
Okay. Above license is granted, provided it does not intend to fashion a fine puncture, so that the barrel will have an attractive opening. For if so, he would be improving a keilim reliable for striking with the hammer makapadish, as will be explained. Okay, he's coming in 5 minutes.
Baruch Hashem.
One second. I just want to finish the sif. If we're fashioning an attractive opening is not his intent, my goodness, wow, they didn't give this to me to proofread. I don't think they translated it correctly here. This is pretty huge. The correct translation is, if, however, fashioning an opening is not his intent, fashioning an opening, not an attractive opening. Alternatively, you can't do it with the intent of making any opening. You're only allowed to break it for the purpose of taking out the contents. You cannot do it for the purpose of making an opening, whether attractive or not. Because if you would make any opening, you might intend to make an attractive opening. Okay, got to correct it on this one. This is pretty big. If, however, fashioning an opening is not his intent, he may open the barrel in this manner. Our sages did not issue a restrictive decree in this instance out of concern that one might intend to fashion an attractive opening. Since a broken barrel that is held together by ties and fear in one's eyes, and he will not concern himself making an attractive opening for it when breaking it open again.
What's the opening?
What?
I didn't understand what the opening was. If it's not his intent to fashion an opening, he may open it in this.
He may break it. You're allowed to break it.
Oh, so that's what
We're not concerned when you break it that you're going to intend to make a nice opening, because this is it's a piece of junk. I mean, you're throwing it out. Why should you? Avalim hi shlema, but if it's a whole barrel, also l'shoivra, it's forbidden to break it. Afilu be'inyan she'ena b'saken l'pesach, no, even if he's not making a nice opening, shestias bin gamar asur af b'keilim, because destroying a complete binyan is forbidden even b'keilim. V'oid gzer shem iskavan l'nagor nekav yafer she'ela pesach noah. When it comes to a nice keili, a real keili that has permanence, that's not just a not throwaway. It's not just an inferior kind of keili. So if you're allowed to break it open, you might not want to break it so much. You might want to be careful how you break it. You might want to break it nicely so that you'll have a nice opening, because this is something that you're going to use for a long time. It's a strong keili. So that's two reasons why you're not allowed to break it open. One is the breaking itself is a problem because of stira, you're destroying. And secondly, you may, even though you're breaking it, but you may try to do it in a nice way that fashions a nice opening, which is makal palish. Yes. Yes.
It didn't have the attention, but you move it and it fell. So it's still higher.
That's like a misasek. That's like a person who doesn't intend to do a malacha at all, and he, by mistake, he thinks he's moving.
You move the computer and knock something else over.
Well, no, the computer. That's a good example, actually. The computer is on your bedside table, open, which really it shouldn't be on Shabbos. You're asking for trouble. And you move your something there, and you didn't realize that you touch the screen and you make it turn on. A computer the screen is open, maybe it's sensitive. So that's an example. That's misasek, right? Or you have, let's say, in your
But you didn't actually have it in your hand.
okay, it slips. It's not your intention.
So you're not chayav.
Anyway, that you for sure not chayav. For sure not chayav. But it's not even a malacha because it's mekaka. Stira in general, for your information, to be chayav on stira, it has to be a destruction with the intention of building it. So you're breaking it, but you're going to put it back together. Right? But if you just destroy, like take a glass cup, throw it on the ground, that's not even chayav. It's stira, but it's stira in a way of kilkul. So it's not chayav. So that's A, it's misasek because it's not your intention. And B, it's mekaka. So two reasons why it's not chayav.
So Rabbi, if you open, if somebody open a bottle of something, and he used the bottle to drink or something like that, so he created a kli. And let's say,
What kind of bottle? What do you mean when you say a bottle? What do you mean? This bottle? Talking about this bottle right here?
this is no problem, he said, right?
There's different opinions, but Shlomo Zalman holds it's okay.
But only the one with the metal, with the round.
Something like that, yeah.
Then it would be.
Something like that.
We studied that, right?
Whatever. We'll get to it.
Get to it. But if you open with the metal, let's say, and then you finish the bottle and you throw it and you break, it's better to break it to make it a kli.
No.
No, it's better not.
If it's forbidden, breaking it later is not going to help.
Okay.
And if it's permissible, what's the point of breaking it?
To show up, it's not a kli.
It's too late. You made it a kli already.
Yeah.
If it's a kli. If it is, maybe it's not because it's throwaway. And if it's not, then what's the point of breaking?
Yeah,
It's a limit.
you know, if the Garzan is flying and kills somebody, he run to a miklat. He's murder, but he's a free.
That's a
You know?
stray.
If he already murdered somebody, you don't pick up the gazan and throw it at somebody else.
No, he doesn't say that.
Chas v'shalom. Chas v'shalom. So,
Good one.
now, what I was going to say before is I was learning with somebody this morning, and he said,
Baruch haba.
okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue after my. No, my friend was going golfing. It's just on my mind. It's nothing to do with what we're learning. But his golf partner, there were four of them, and two of them were standing and talking, and one of them shot the golf ball from like a forest where they'd gone off, and by mistake, because he didn't even see where they were, it was like a slope, so he couldn't see them. They were just standing there, and he hit like a line drive. It passed like right between their heads, like that. They were standing like this apart. He said, "Hagoyim and shul." He said he thought it could have been a fatal blow. Chas v'shalom. All right. Anyway, that had nothing to do with anything, but we will continue Mr. Hashem after Ma'ariv. You're very tired today, Paul. Okay, I'm sorry, guys, wherever you are, in who's here today, in England and LA, but we have to have Ma'ariv a little bit early, so we're going to take a break and we're going to continue after Ma'ariv.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll stand by.
I wonder if I can put this on pause. How does that work? I don't think so. I'm just going to have to leave it running.
All right.
Continuing after Ma'ariv.
Yeah, because we're leaving early.
You Chazan?
No.
Anybody want to be Chazan?
Not 10:15. I'd like to do just 6 days.
Close to 3 years.
Bakasha.
What happens is some people get denied or they're not getting enough. So then they come to the public adjustment. And then when the public adjustment comes to when you fail. What do you call it? It ends in full water.
Hey.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Yisrael אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. יהיה חמוך בפעמים עולמים, כמוך לכם בכל שנות ובדרך כלומך, ואוזני רבותי היה לפני שזה אלי, חנוך ואמרו, אדוני לא, אדוני אלוהים, פדה אדוני תחתום בעולמנו, ממנו ברכה, אדוני, ישראל. שלום, אתה והעולם מכירים, ונעשנו אתה, ברוך אתה, אדוני, שלום. התקדש, שני רבה, אמן. אמרתי גרף יותר לך, חותם לעצמך פוחדים, אמן. נכון, בואו נתחיל לכל בסדר ובאו, זמן חיים ומאמת. אמן. שני רבה, פולח העולם, ועולמי המויה, יתברך ושתבח ויתפאר, יזומן מתנשא, ותדע ותדע השם, ותשם ותשם. אדם מכל מלאכתה לשאלה, שכתב ונחמתה גם כולם, אמן. לא נקדש שמי רבה, עמד יבירה, דבר לכל כזה, לעצמם לא זה משכה. יש מי רבה, כל ישראל, אמן. זה שלום וברכה, ושלום על כל ישראל, אמן.
Why not?
See, in my business, we have gold screws.
Oh, very good. I wasn't 100% positive. September, October. All the Chagim fell.
I can look it up. We'll learn it for a few minutes. Maybe you start coming regularly, because
I wanted to.
A-Town went away. He went for a few weeks. We're going to be short of a minute.
I wanted to.
But
then I was on toothbrush.
okay.
Yeah. I wanted to call. I don't know if you call, but I've got to spend it. Doesn't have anything, so that's
Okay. Very good. We're going to continue for a few minutes. I want to learn Sif Beis. Sif Beis, the Alter Rebbe, yeah. Hatakeya Yosef Bakoisel. A person who embeds a peg into a wall. Lidleis Keilim, with the intention of hanging Keilim from it. Or for any other similar purpose. Chayev mishum boina es chayev for boina. Person who makes puts a nail in a wall to hang a picture from, that's chayev mishum boina. Very simple thing. Doesn't take a professional, but like we said, anything connected to the ground, much stricter on in terms of the definition. Sorry? I don't think that's boina.
That's mutter? Or just not the rest?
Why is that one thing?
I'm asking a question.
I don't think it's boina. I mean, I imagine the nail is muktzah because it's not really a keli, has no function. It's not something you move around.
They don't want it to be on the floor, but in case,
Okay, so you're picking it up anyway. You're saying you're picking it up anyway. Yeah, you're picking it up anyway. I don't know if it's a problem because the binyan is the whole. You know what I mean? It's the whole that you're creating. I think so.
it's not going to be the same concept with the back and the grill. If you take it out once already, you're allowed to take it out.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. But that's not I mean, nobody keeps a knife in the barrel forever. It has no function in the barrel. Here, the question is that maybe the nail in the wall has a function. Because you're going to use it to hang the picture on. You know what I'm saying? With the knife doesn't have a function. It's just a place to keep it. Even if you did not stick the nail in, you just drilled the hole in order to put the nail in. You're chayav for building that hole.
What were you putting inside? What was the drill?
The drill was a drill bit, which obviously doesn't stay there. You drilled the hole and you left an empty hole. But now you're going to be able to put in a peg to hold up your picture or whatever.
We were suggesting was definitely wrong.
Why not?
You're saying, okay, if the nail was in the wall and it fell out, putting it back in, they're saying maybe it's.
Maybe.
But if it was drilled and it's able to go inside, it's able to be inserted. And now on Shabbos you insert it for the first time.
Finish it.
It's for sure it's going in.
Who said that? Where do you get that
That's
from?
what I
Well,
was.
the remote was.
No, he was talking about actually drilling it.
Doesn't drill
Actually
on
drilling on Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Even
Before Shabbos and putting it in the
no, it doesn't talk about that. It doesn't talk about that.
Oh.
The first case is when you bang in a nail and leave it there. Stick it in and leave it there. That's the first case. That's also that's boina. Even if you don't bang in the nail, you just drill a hole and you're going to put in a nail later. The hole itself is boina.
Really drill the same thing as a nail. How do you drill something?
No.
Insert some.
No, like a drill bit. It's not inserted there. You just in and out. Yeah, no, you're just in and out. It's never in. It's part of the drill. You know what I'm saying? You use a drill.
Is there such a thing as non-electric drills?
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like this.
I've seen one.
It's like a whisk. Like a.
That's so
Like
bizarre.
egg beater.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You know those boards that
No, here I get the
you
concept.
stick with kind of the not
I think those used to have
notes.
cords.
on-
It's kind of like.
Thumbtacks? Thumbtacks?
Yeah, right. I just-
It seems- I've seen
It looks almost identical.
I don't think so.
it. You were probably around.
I don't think so.
When you were a kid,
I mean, those boards are attached to the wall.
Yes. The become the-
It's.
I think so.
That's right.
And if it just hangs
It's more for wood.
part of the wall,
Those were small.
That's an interesting question. If it's not actually attached, if it's hanging from
like a picture, it's hanging
like a
from the nail.
picture, I'm not sure.
But the concept that you are allowed to use those. Put a
That,
fly in this, like, and if it's further, like to relocate it.
I don't think so. If it's attached to the wall, for sure not. If it's not, maybe. Because something that's not connected, we know a binyan garua is not important. This is a binyan garua. It's not professional at all. You know what I'm saying? But attached to the wall is certainly not. Not attached to the wall, I'm not sure. Okay. The point is,
For what? Because you're making a hole, or you made that because you.
the hole, we're going to see in a minute. The hole is not really such a problem. Because you have,
Because what they told me, like because you can drop it pieces together, or like patching, or.
no, it's like you're making a functional thing now that you can stick something in. You know what I'm saying? When you stick that pin into the wall, now it's holding up something. So it's
It's only a paper.
holding a paper. Exactly.
Is tape also to be used on Shabbos? Scotch tape.
But you have to cut it. The constant structure.
Scotch tape is like toifer. It's like sewing. When you glue two items together, that's like sewing. So Scotch tape is basically a piece of plastic with glue on it. You're using that to hold two different things together.
So you would be able to put tape on a wall and put a picture on it.
No.
That's tough. That's not board.
But you're also finishing.
I don't know if toifer applies to walls, but it's certainly between the picture and the tape. You're certainly attaching those two. Yeah, picture on the tape is toifer. I don't know about the wall, because I don't know if toifer applies to walls. I'm not sure how that
And a
works.
tin, I don't know what those are called. The little.
That's what he was asking. That's what he was asking. If it's on a board that's attached to the wall, it would seem clear that it's awesome, because it's anything attached to it.
What would be the other?
No, he was saying, what if it's a hanging board that's just hanging on the
I
wall?
have one in my kids' room.
I'm not sure.
Like one of those cork boards.
I'm not sure.
And what about the wall?
On the wall, it says here, anything attached to the wall, we're much more strict in terms of binding.
What would be the difference between that and a nail? This is pretty permanent.
It's definitely not permanent.
Is it not permanent?
Push pin, what you're taking in and out to put in
Well,
a
it's not,
notice.
if it's on a board and you're putting pictures up, but let's say I want to put a picture up in my kids' room and I want it to stay there for ever. A picture of it's not but
Unless it falls.
push pins.
See, because the push pin is so small that it seems unimportant, but it's the same as a nail. What if it's a pin? A little tiny nail.
I don't know. I want to look it up with Thirnar Malachas. He discusses all these Mana de Shalas. I feel like I'm answering without knowing better. Okay. V'cheno isa nekev b'karkar sabayis. If you make a hole in the floor of the house in order to allow water to drain out, now the common denominator of these holes that he's discussing is that it serves a function. The function does not have to be necessarily that something goes in and out. It's enough that it serves any function. Like, for example, a hole where you're hanging the picture. The hole is serving one function only, that it's holding the nail, which holds the picture. That's it. That's enough of a function to be chayav. In terms of the hole in the wall and the floor that allows the water to drain out, it's only going one direction. All you want is the water to drain. That's chayav. However, if you make a hole in something, disconnected from the ground, then in order to be chayav, the hole has to be made for both taking in and out. Now, this is a special halacha when it comes to things that are not attached to the ground. So now there is no binyan per se with this hole, right? Because we're not talking about, right, to be with Keilim, you need a binyan gomer, you need a significant act of binyan. A hole in and of itself is not a significant act. In order for it to be significant, it has to be something like a tikkun kli, like perfecting the Keilim. And that is defined as a Pesach that is asu lahachnis ulahoitzi, an opening that is used both in and out.
Ever since it's not permanent, part of the house.
Exactly. Anything that's not connected to the ground. For example, you have a chicken coop, which is not attached to the ground. And again, it doesn't have the dimensions that we spoke about before. So it's like a keli. The holes in those coops generally have two functions. They allow the light in and they allow the smell out. So that is considered a Pesach that a person would be chayav for in terms of makeh patish. He's completing the chicken coop, making a nice opening in and out.
If it's bigger than the other install, it's not going to be a problem.
Now, bigger number of is more strict. Then even a hole that maybe goes one direction is a problem. Shenekev zehu Pesach gomer. Such a hole is a complete opening. The chayav malas yosem mishum tikkun keli. And making such a hole is chayav because of tikkun keli. Shul tool is makabe patish, which is the tool of the final hammer blow, commissioners representation based like we explained over there. Bein she'asa neka be'etz, bein be'matachas, bein be'kelim, chaylim shul makabe patish. Whether he made the hole in wood, in metal, or in kelim, you can say any other kelim, no matter what, is chayim from makabe patish im wasel hachas loitzi, if it is made to go in and out. So, what if you make a hole in a can, and you make another hole to let the air out? As you pour the liquid out, you need to allow the air to go in. Otherwise, the liquid's not going to come out.
Fascinating.
And now each hole can be used for both. It can be, you can tip it one way, the liquid will come out, and the air will come in the other way, or vice versa. Is that called lahachnes elohitzi? Does air, is air significant? Is the question. When he talks about in and out, does he include air, or does it have to be something more substantial? Well, you see over here that light is considered substantial, and smell is substantial.
Water is not a significance.
Of course it is. Why not?
Well, the air is substantial because it won't come out unless the air comes in.
That's true. I'm sorry?
The reason water could be thrown out because it's like there's so much of it. When we did Basra Challah, we always talked about throwing water out.
We didn't always talk about it, but we did mention that concept, yes. That doesn't mean it's not significant. That means in terms of that particular halacha, it's not so terrible to throw it out. It's not such a waste. But if you have a jug that holds water, obviously that water is significant. That's why you have the jug. And the water and the opening to allow the water out is significant because you need that water. Sorry? So he actually brings here in the Dirshu a machlokes. Chazon Ish holds that it is significant, and that would be defined as lahachas lahoitzi. And Rav Shlomo Zalman holds that it's not, because Rav Shlomo Zalman says otherwise every hole will always be lahachas lahoitzi. Because you could always, if you pour it out slowly, you can always allow the water out and the liquid in. And we don't say that. We say it has to, it has to have lahachas lahoitzi. Besides just pouring out, it has to also have a particular idea of lahachnes. So therefore he considers that, I guess he considers it secondary to the lahoitzi. Of course the air is going in, but that's a secondary function just to allow the liquid to go out. You don't really want the air in. You just want to enable the liquid to go out. So that's a little machlekes. But in any case, you can't make an opening, even if it's one directional, as we're going to see next time, because it's still a gzeir that you might make it two directional. But to be chayev midaraisa would only be if it's made to go both ways. I imagine that a balloon has a getter of a mustaki. It's not a very strong keli. Now, when you destroy a non-strong keli, there is no stira, because there's no stira by such kelim, and there is no opposite of makabe patish, like we said in the past. So I think so. I think it's mutter.
But yeah,
much to your children's distress. I think it's mutter.
You have to have a
Don't say why not.
destroying. Is there a premise?
What do you mean?
Like with the barrel, you want to take something out with a balloon. You're not trying to absorb the air that's inside. It doesn't have a purpose. You're just destroying it.
So?
We can do that.
You're not touch something for no reason?
You touch something for no reason? What do you mean?
It's not, the halacha said you're not allowed to play with utensils.
I'm not playing with them. It's disturbing me. I mean, this balloon, the kids are playing, they're getting into fights about it. That's it. Out with the balloon.
So you just popping it.
It's another shaila. I mean, you generally can't just touch things on Shabbos for no purpose at all. But if you have a purpose, I don't see why not. All right, my friends, have a good evening. To be continued tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.
So we're on Shani
Yes.
Dal.